A lot of people have asked me, how did someone like me end up in a place like Jordan? Well, one reason, and one reason only, Britain. You see, Britain is a country in the Middle East just like Jordan. Just kidding. It's not. It's in Europe. But Britain has had a big influence on Jordan, and that is why I am here. The first thing to understand is that this is not a new relationship. This is not something that started yesterday. No, this goes back more than 100 years. In fact, it goes back to World War I, when Britain was fighting the Ottoman Empire, and they needed a place to put all the people who were fighting for them. They needed somewhere to put the soldiers, to put the administrators, to put the missionaries, and they found that place in Jordan. They came here, and they never really left. After the war, Britain controlled the region. They administered the region, they put their people in charge. They set up their own infrastructure, their own institutions, their own laws. And then finally, after many years of sort of trying to push the people of Jordan towards independence, they finally let them become independent in 1946. But by that time, they had shaped the country in such a way that it would forever be linked to Britain. One of the things that they did was, they drew the borders. The borders of Jordan today are pretty much the borders that Britain drew when they were in control of the region. They drew those borders with a pen on a map in London. They didn't really ask the people of the region, the people of Jordan, what they thought about those borders. So there are some people who live just over there in Syria, just over there in Iraq, just over there in Saudi Arabia, who feel a very strong sense of dispossession, because they were Jordanians before there was a country called Jordan. They were part of Greater Syria. They were part of Greater Mesopotamia. And if it hadn't been for British colonialism, they might have been able to live in the country today. Another thing that Britain did was they brought their language with them. They came to Jordan more than 100 years ago and they spoke English amongst themselves. They needed a language to be able to do that. And so they imposed their language on the people of Jordan. And that's why today, even though Arabic is the official language, English is the language that people use in business, in government, in education, in media, in almost every sector. English is the language that people use. And the final thing that Britain did was they brought their legal system with them. They brought their laws. They needed a way to be able to administer the territory, to be able to collect taxes, to be able to build infrastructure, and they needed laws to be able to do that. So they imposed their legal system on the people of Jordan. And that's why today, even though we have our own Islamic laws, we have our own legal system based on Sharia, the English legal system is still very prevalent. Many of the judges were trained in England. Many of the lawyers were trained in England. And the laws themselves, the civil code, the criminal code, a lot of it is based on English common law. So you can see that the legacy of colonialism is still very prevalent in Jordan today. Even though we are an independent country, even though we have our own king, even though we have our own flag, we are still very much linked to Britain because of the way that they shaped our country, because of the way that they drew our borders, because of the way that they brought their language here, because of the way that they brought their legal system here. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm not saying this is a good thing. I'm just saying this is a thing. And that's why I'm here today. I'm here today because of the legacy of colonialism. I'm here today because of the influence of Britain on my country, and I'm very grateful for that. I've been able to have all these amazing opportunities because of my link to Britain. But I think it's important to remember that in many countries around the world, the story is not that different. The United States is a good example. The United States also has a colonial past. The United States also has a lot of the trappings of colonialism. A lot of the laws, a lot of the institutions, a lot of the borders were drawn by European powers, by the Dutch, by the French, by the Spanish. And even though America is a very powerful country today, even though it has a lot of agency, it is still linked in many ways to its colonial past. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it, and I will see you in the next one.